you, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, From Classrooms to Careers, How Mentorship Builds Workforce Readiness. My name is Jasmine, and I'm on the marketing team here at Mentor Collective, and I'm excited to kick things off today. Before we start, just a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll send you the recording and some additional resources in a follow-up email. On the screen, you'll see a few tips to help ensure a smooth virtual experience today. Your audio is on mute, and if you adjust your video layout to speaker view, that's the best experience. We'd also love to know where everyone is joining from, so feel free to share your name and institution or company in the chat. And throughout the session, you can drop a question in the chat or in the Q&A feature. If you like what you hear, let us know with reactions. I'm going to now hand it off to our speaker today, Emily Barrett. She is the Associate Vice President of Strategic Partnerships here at Mentor Collective.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I just want to give a warm welcome to everyone who's joining us. Thank you so much for taking a half an hour out of your very busy schedules to have this conversation with us as we kind of chat through some important things that we're seeing. So we'll just jump ahead and talk a little bit about our agenda. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about understanding the disconnect between education and employment outcomes. And then we're going to dive into where the missing link is, and why mentorship is essential to building confidence, belonging, and workforce ready skills. From there, we're going to dive into the data and really take a look at how mentorship measurably improves career decision self-efficacy, engagement, and very importantly, professional confidence. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about how to move from insights to impact. So really looking at strategies for integrating mentorship into career readiness and workforce development initiatives. We know that mentorship is really filling the human gap that helps learners practice readiness, build networks, and apply their learning in the real world context. So as we're thinking about that, I wanted to first start with kind of the problem that brings us all here today. So, despite unprecedented investment in higher education and career-aligned curriculum, we know that the gap between learning and work stubbornly persists. And I think that word stubbornly is a very adept one at describing the situation. If we look at the numbers, we see that half of recent graduates report feeling completely unprepared for the workforce, and that 4 in 10 are underemployed in their very first job. Furthermore, only 1 in 3 believe that their education truly prepared them for the realities of work. At the same time, we know that employers are continuing to identify critical gaps in communication, problem solving, and applied skills. These are the very capabilities that we know determine success on the job, but aren't always cultivated through coursework alone. The disconnect isn't just a university problem or an employer problem. What we're seeing here is a systemic challenge that's eroding the return on investment for millions of learners and leaving nearly 100 million US workers without access to a quality job. So simply put, we really see here that the system isn't working, and it isn't working for those who need it most, especially first generation and underserved learners who are navigating these transitions often with the fewest resources and supports. Furthermore, we see that a degree alone is no longer enough, right? We know that despite major investments in workforce-aligned education, too many students are still graduating without the essential skills, confidence, or networks to succeed in today's job market. We also know that the number one way people secure jobs isn't through job boards, right? It's through referrals and professional networks. But the infrastructure to help students build and leverage those networks is deeply flawed. An interesting thing we see is that according to Strata Education Foundation's 2024 research, only 1 in 5 graduates receives any form of personalized career coaching. And the students who most need that professional guidance, often first generation and underserved learners, are the least likely to receive it. This lack of one-on-one and career-focused support is a major driver of underemployment. 40% of graduates are starting out in jobs that don't require their degree. And we know that over time, that early unemployment compounds over time, making them 3.5 times more likely to remain underemployed a decade later. What are the things we've seen that have worked? Oh, sorry, if we could just go back to the former slide, is internships. We know that internships are one of the few proven interventions and that they reduce the risk of underemployment by nearly half. But access to internships remains limited. According to BHAF, US employers offered about 3.6 million internships last year, which left about 4.6 million learners without any opportunity to gain that crucial experience. And so while higher education continues to emphasize workforce alignment, the real issue isn't just academic, it's access. And that's the challenge before us. If opportunity and professional guidance remain out of reach for so many, there is no amount of curriculum reform that will close the gap between learning and work. And this is where mentorship can begin to rewrite the story, bridging the access gap and creating the networks, confidence, and skills that drive true career readiness. And that's where we see mentorship as that missing link. We know that it's a missing link that helps to transform learning. We can go ahead and jump to the next slide, whether in the classroom or in the workplace, and really transform that learning into true confidence and readiness. For students, mentorship bridges the gap between theory and practice. It connects what they learn in their courses to the realities of professional life. It helps them build networks, set goals, and translate that knowledge into action. For professionals, mentorship can accelerate growth by offering perspective, feedback, and access to the unspoken rules of organizational life. That same hidden curriculum that often determines who advances and who stalls. At every stage, mentorship is a scalable relational strategy that turns potential into performance. It builds measurable indicators like social capital, confidence, and belonging that are factors we know are proven predictors of persistence, engagement, and long-term success. It's not just about interpersonal benefits, these are workforce outcomes. Learners and employers who feel supported and connected are seen as more likely to stay, to lead, and to contribute at a higher level. Mentorship is filling a human gap, helping people practice readiness, apply their learning, and navigate those real-world challenges with confidence. Additionally, mentorship is not a bonus feature. It is the connective tissue that our systems have been missing. It builds what most tools and most programs can't. It builds trust, perspective, and shared accountability. Mentorship meets people where they are, whether that's a student searching for belonging or an employee stepping into new responsibilities and growth. But it doesn't stop there. Mentorship also reconnects individuals to the broader ecosystem around them. In higher education, that might mean bridging relationships with advising, faculty, and career centers. And in the workplace, it's about linking people to stretch roles, development pathways, and a sense of shared purpose. When done well, mentorship becomes the relational infrastructure that holds everything together, supporting people across life stages, milestones, and moments of transition. It's not just about connection, it's also about continuity. So, what does all of this actually look like in practice? When mentorship becomes a part of the system, not an add-on, it begins to strengthen the measurable indicators that define readiness and success. These are the outcomes that connect education to workforce preparedness and potential. So when we start thinking about this, right, and we think about something like career decision self-efficacy, we see mentorship building that foundational belief, helping someone feel confident about making decisions about their future. What does that look like in data? A 23% increase in confidence navigating career paths. When we think about career exploration and engagement, we see mentorship turning intention into action. And what does that look like in the data? Mentees are 45% more likely to engage with career services and take tangible steps towards their goals. Going further along, we also see confidence in professional skills. Mentorship helps learners internalize their mindset. They start to believe that they can succeed in the workplace environment, which translates into a 22% boost in job search strategy confidence. And then finally, and probably most importantly, a sense of belonging and social capital. Mentorship creates access. Learners have reported that they feel like they have people they can turn to for guidance and for opportunity. That network effect drives a 21% increase in confidence using professional connections. Zooming out, when we look together at these four pillars, decision making, engagement, confidence, and connection, we see a comprehensive model for readiness. And those are not just theories. The data shows that these outcomes are real, measurable, and repeatable. So let's take a look and dive into the data. We're going to start with confidence, right? Because confidence is absolutely foundational. When learners doubt their ability to make career choices, they stall. They hesitate to apply, to explore, and to take the next steps. And that hesitation compounds over time. Mentorship changes this internal narrative. It turns uncertainty into momentum. In our data, we saw the proportion of high confidence learners, which means learners who feel that they are capable of navigating their career path, jump from 62% to 80% after participating in mentorship. That's a pretty extraordinary shift in both belief and behavior. And the reason becomes clearer when you start to look deeper. The biggest driver of growth was a 23% increase in access to relatable role models, mentors who shared their own career journeys and made those paths feel tangible for their mentees. That simple connection, seeing someone who's walked the path ahead, helps learners clarify their options, recognize their strengths, and believe in their potential. Mentorship helps learners see themselves in professional pathways, and it's the moment where they move from, can I do this, to I know I can do this. And that shift from doubt to confidence is the first step towards lasting readiness and success. As we move forward, we can see that shift visually here. Mentorship is moving learners out of uncertainty, that group that's scoring below 3 in self-efficacy, and into a state of confidence and clarity, those who are scoring above a 3. And it's not just a small improvement. It's a visible movement from hesitation to belief. That growth represents more than just higher survey scores. It reflects a mindset change. Learners begin to trust their decision making, articulate their goals, and take ownership of their next steps. That foundational boost in confidence is what unlocks readiness. But confidence on its own isn't the finish line, it's the catalyst. And so, where it starts to get really exciting, and we're going to dive into next, is what happens when that confidence turns into action. So, let's look at how mentorship drives real engagement and exploration. As I said earlier, confidence is very powerful, but confidence in action is where we see real change happening, which brings us to our second key indicator of career exploration and engagement. One of mentorship's most transformative functions is how it serves as a bridge, connecting learners to their career and employer resources that are already available to them, but often underutilized. Mentors help turn intent into implementation, and the results are striking, as you can see here on the screen. We saw a 45% increase in participation in career counseling and workshops, a 37% increase in use of job search and career support services, and that's not by chance. Mentors are actively prompting learners to take tangible steps, updating their resumes, practicing interviews, attending job fairs, and following through on opportunities. We know from organizations like NACE and other national data that these behaviors that mentors are directly encouraging and prompting their mentees to take action on directly correlate with higher job offers and stronger first destination outcomes. So, in short, mentorship is moving learners from that passive awareness to purposeful action. It's providing them with the encouragement, the accountability, and the clarity needed to engage meaningfully with the systems that are already there and designed to help them succeed. So, if confidence fuels readiness and engagement powers momentum, it's that momentum which is what ultimately carries learners from preparation to opportunity. Engagement is essential, but it's not enough to simply participate in career services or workshops. Learners also need to believe that they can successfully apply what they're learning in real world contexts. And this is where mentorship, once again, is building that professional confidence. Our data clearly shows the impact here. Confidence in developing realistic job search strategies rose by 22%. And even more striking, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the percentage of mentees reporting high confidence in their professional skills, scoring above a 4, more than doubled, jumping from 19% to 42%. It's really big, exciting data to see when we're seeing so many learners developing such strength in their confidence. Mentors are making this possible by providing context, feedback, and accountability. They're turning that theory into practice. They're helping learners see how classroom concepts translate into resumes, how to navigate interviews, workplace communication, and on the job problem solving. In short, mentorship is helping learners move from knowing to doing, building the applied professional self belief that is critical for success in today's workforce. Confidence becomes competence, and we know that competence drives career outcomes. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about the bedrock of career success, and that's belonging and social capital. For many learners, especially first generation and underserved students, the absence of professional networks is often the single greatest barrier to entry. And mentorship directly addresses this challenge, and the data shows how powerful it can be. We saw a 21% increase in confidence when asking professionals for help, building that network out. A 19% increase in comfort meeting new people in careers of interest, another way to push the edges of that network. And then a 21% increase in confidence leveraging social networks to identify opportunities. These relational gains are more than just numbers, they are transformative. Mentorship expands networks, it normalizes the act of asking for guidance, and it provides the role models that affirm potential. Put simply, mentorship ensures that social capital isn't a prerequisite for opportunity, it becomes an outcome, a tangible result of engagement and support, laying the foundation for long-term career success. And when confidence, engagement, applied skills, and social capital come together, mentorship completes the readiness cycle. This brings us to one of the most powerful yet often invisible benefits of mentorship, which is accessing and navigating the hidden curriculum. Mentees often describe how mentors help them navigate the unspoken norms and expectations that shape academic and professional success. These are not things that you would find in a syllabus or in an employee handbook. They're the subtle and often unspoken lessons that determine how confidently someone can move through very complex systems. Whether it's learning how to network with intention, communicate effectively with professors or supervisors, or plan the concrete steps towards long-term career goals, mentors make these processes feel more accessible and more achievable. One learner in one of our programs shared that their mentor helped them understand the steps it takes to get to their desired career, and it made them feel like they could do it too. That sense of possibility, the shift from uncertainty to confidence, is where mentorship's impact becomes transformational. And while the data illustrates these outcomes clearly, the real challenge for institutions and organizations is translating those insights into meaningful action. And this brings us to our next section, how to move from understanding the mentorship's impact to implementing strategies that could make these outcomes scalable and sustainable. So the question now is, how do we take what we know about mentorship's impact and turn it into strategies that drive results across education and the workplace. Structured mentorship programs are especially powerful for underrepresented learners and professionals, providing a trusted source of guidance. When paired with experiential learning, we know that mentorship adds, again, that level of accountability and reflection, helping interns build measurable skills and boosting both perceived career preparation and workplace success. First, we see mentorship increasing intern satisfaction and career clarity. According to NACE internship and co-op surveys, students with a formal mentor during their internship report greater clarity, not just on career goals, but also about feeling more integrated into the workplace culture. That sense of belonging and direction is critical, not just for interns, but for organizations that are hoping to retain top talent. Second, mentorship drives outsized benefits for underrepresented students. In a recent Gallup Strata Education Network poll that went out, we saw that first generation students and students of color gained the most from formal mentoring during experiential learning. For those learners, a mentorship can be the difference between leaving an internship feeling uncertain versus leaving an internship feeling empowered, confident, and connected to their next steps. And then finally, structured mentorship builds accountability and develops skills. Programs like Brave and demonstrate how near-peer mentoring embedded in career learning drives measurable outcomes, including improved job attainment post-graduation. We know that mentorship is not just a support mechanism, but it's a strategic tool for workforce readiness and long-term career success. When we put all of this together, the evidence is really clear. When mentorship is intentionally integrated into internships, it doesn't just enhance the experience, it amplifies the outcomes. Mentorship is also not just a benefit for learners. It is a strategic engine for our partners, creating value that extends across institutions and employers alike. For institutions, we see mentorship driving measurable returns on investment. Participants are showing a 6% lift in retention and an 8% increase in sense of belonging. These are not just statistics, they represent real students staying engaged, persisting through their challenges, and thriving in ways that positively impact overall campus outcomes and reputation. For employers, mentorship strengthens the talent pipeline. Interns and early career hires enter the workforce more prepared, more confident, and more connected, resulting in higher intern to hire conversion rates and a more diverse and ready to work team. Mentorship ensures that talent isn't just recruited, it's cultivated, equipped, and set up to succeed from day one. So what we like to think of here at Mentor Collective is that mentorship creates a win-win-win situation. Learners are gaining skills, confidence, and networks. Institutions are seeing improved retention and engagement, and employers are building a stronger, more capable, and diverse workforce, which creates a model of shared value that scales across the entire ecosystem. When we think about the ecosystem of learning, mentorship, and career development, the opportunity isn't just in optimizing programs today, it's also about preparing learners for the future of work. Looking ahead, the demand for adaptability is only growing. The World Economic Forum projects that about 60% of workers will require reskilling by 2030, and executives expect that about half of their workforce will need to upskill in the next 3 years. The workforce of the future will demand more than just technical skills. Success will hinge on the ability to enter, exit, and re-enter learning throughout your career, to pivot, to grow, and to continuously reinvent oneself. Mentorship is the critical infrastructure for that adaptability. It prepares learners not just for their first role, but for a lifetime of professional evolution, connecting them to changing industry expectations while ensuring social capital and networks remain accessible. Career readiness is no longer a one-time milestone at graduation, it's an ongoing journey. And mentorship builds the adaptable mindset that today's workforce needs to thrive in a constantly evolving world. Mentorship isn't just about support, it's about a strategy, an essential workforce infrastructure, scaffolding adaptability, linking education to employment, and building equitable talent pipelines that benefit learners, institutions, and employers alike. The next step for institutions, employers, and policymakers is to treat mentorship as a strategic driver of belonging, career readiness, and workforce success. It does this in four key ways. Supports upskilling, adaptability, and reskilling across career stages, ensuring that learners and employers can pivot as the workforce evolves. It connects learners to evolving industry expectations, helping them anticipate and meet the skills and behaviors that employers value most. It helps learners build a professional network, advocate during job offers, and navigate workplace norms, turning confidence into actionable career outcomes. And finally, it translates education into ongoing employability, bridging classroom learning and professional success across a lifetime. When mentorship is positioned as a strategic, intentional system, it becomes a core driver of talent readiness, equity, and workforce impact. The outcomes here speak for themselves. As you can see, some of the quotes we have from participants in our program, where you can see that their mentors are helping them navigate their career paths and building professional networks. You can see here, she said, my mentor helped me identify people to reach out to and even reviewed the emails I have sent. I wouldn't have known where to start without her. On the other side, we're seeing that the mentor has been a great help in professional development and has helped with things like reviewing the resume, LinkedIn, and general networking skills. But again, here I think the end of the quote, it's a lot less scary to reach out to people when you have someone in your corner to encourage you. So again, building up that professional confidence. All right, so what's next? We are proud to be releasing our new white paper. The career readiness begins here, how mentorship builds the skills that matter, which is full of data, implementation models, and partner examples that will help you take that next step. You can download it right now, no form film required, by scanning the QR code on your screen or following the link in the chat. Thank you again so much for joining us. With that, I will hand things back over to my colleague, Jasmine.
Yes, I'll leave this up in case anyone wants to scan it real quick. Before we head out, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or in the Q&A, but I did want to launch a poll. This way, if you wanted to connect with someone at Mentor Collective to ask about anything, including that white paper, you can respond in the poll. And also, if you have any feedback on the webinar today, we really appreciate it. So just going to leave that poll up for a second. And as a reminder, the recording and the white paper link will be sent in a follow-up email within 24 hours to everyone here. Awesome. Thank you everyone again for joining today. I hope everyone has a really great rest of their week. Bye.